Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Feeding San Diego webinar regarding the COVID-19 crisis here in San Diego County. We are absolutely honored to have you all with us here today to update you on Feeding San Diego's efforts to address this crisis. Let me begin by saying that the picture you see on the screen is reality. We are working 24 hours a day. We have a graveyard shift, rescuing food, delivering food, moving through our distribution center, and it has been a very, very aggressive response. And I look forward to sharing some of the details with you in this slide presentation. By way of background, the mission of Feeding San Diego is to connect every person facing hunger with nutritious meals by maximizing food waste. And that is a mission that we take very, very seriously. It is our commitment to seizing on the reality that 40% of all the food in this country gets thrown away every day, which is more than enough than we need to solve the problem of hunger. And using that vast untapped or limited tapped resource to solve hunger in San Diego County. Our vision statement is a hunger-free and healthy San Diego. And as you'll see in our COVID-19 response efforts, we take that commitment to health very seriously, because we are not just seeking to feed people in our county, we are seeking to nourish people and create strong and healthy communities. Our COVID-19 response is countywide, and we'll go through some of those details in a moment. We also have a special webpage devoted to our COVID-19 response efforts that includes a lot of very, very helpful information to the community. One of the things that I want to start by saying is that hunger relief activity is exempt from governmental orders limiting people's movement in the community, as well as their workplaces. We are part of the essential infrastructure of hunger relief in the county. And whether you are a volunteer or a staff member, whether you are participating here at our distribution center in Sereno Mesa or at one of the hundreds of distribution locations across San Diego County, that is a lawful activity under the current orders. And if anybody has questions or concerns about that or requires documentation for that, they should contact Feeding San Diego. So this is a time of incredible solidarity. We are really coming together as a community while we are operating 6 feet apart. And Feeding San Diego has restructured the way that it does its work. We have an internal coronavirus task force that we have convened with internal and external stakeholders. We are in regular contact with the County Office of Emergency Services, the Governor's Office, our federal and state elected officials, public health officials, and making sure that we are applying the best practices and knowledge available to us to our daily operations, which are changing with great frequency. The response is driven by and assisted by many people. And I have to start, of course, with the funders who make all of this possible. We recently received a very generous $250,000 grant from Price Philanthropies to assist these efforts. Many other foundations and donors are stepping up to the plate and recognizing that this is a time for urgent action. The reason for that urgent action is obvious, but the details are, we have seen a significant disruption in the food distribution network across the county. There are fewer places to rescue food because folks have made a run on grocery stores, which has led to a reduction in rescued retail product. Feeding San Diego rescues food from 530 places across San Diego County, about 200 Starbucks stores, many of which are now closed, about 260 grocery stores, many of which have far, far less product, if any, to donate because the public has been buying almost everything that the grocery stores are able to stock. Our hope is that rationality will return to the retail market, that consumers will decide that they have stocked enough food in their homes and will return to normal buying patterns, which will allow the supply chain to produce the normal surplus that we are able to rescue from our retail partners. And I really want to express my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to our grocery store, Starbucks, and other retail partners. They are doing extraordinary work under incredible pressure. And I know all of us share in that heartfelt appreciation for the work that they're doing. In addition, governmental leaders and nonprofit leaders from around the county have been working with us in an effort to maximize the pace at which we are expanding our services to the community. We work in coalition with 170 charitable and faith-based organizations across the county, many of whom operate food distributions. But in addition to those 170, we have about 100 places that we distribute food directly to the community ourselves. Tragically, some of those distribution locations have also had to close because of this crisis. Many of our school pantries that were on school campuses closed when the school campuses closed. Some of our agency partners have not been able to conduct distributions that they regularly have, though the vast majority are continuing to operate those distribution points, and some have even expanded. We have created additional and new distribution locations specifically to address this crisis, and I'll have more to say about that in just a moment. But I also, of course, want to salute the team here at Feeding San Diego. As CEO, I am honored and privileged to lead a group of individuals who, in their own terms, are rocking it, and they're rocking it every day. They come to work or work from home with passion, with innovation, with dedication to getting this job done. And obviously, like most employers, we have minimized the number of people that are allowed to come to the office or the warehouse. We have taken exceedingly stringent adherence to the safety protocols regarding social distancing, washing of hands, etc. And we are doing everything within our power to deliver on our mission while protecting the health and safety of our staff and volunteers. But thank you to our funders, thank you to our volunteers, thank you to everyone who is playing a role in this. Before this started, 1 out of every 8 people in San Diego County was facing hunger on a regular basis. That number tragically was higher for children, with 1 out of every 6 kids facing hunger. That is not reflective of the current circumstance. We are currently experiencing higher levels of food insecurity precisely because there are so many San Diego workers who have reduced hours or, more commonly, have been laid off from their jobs. The difference between the folks that we have traditionally served and this new population is that many of these recently economically disenfranchised families have never accessed food services before, and they don't know where to start. And so we're having to do extensive outreach through the news media, social media, and other venues to simply get them informed on how they can access the services and to dispel myths. There are myths that they are going to have to fill out paperwork and forms. There are myths that they are going to have to be income qualified to access our services. These things are not true. Where Feeding San Diego is directly distributing food to the community, it is on a no questions asked basis, and anyone who identifies as being food insecure is welcome to access the resource. There are agency partners who receive food from multiple distribution entities that have to impose tighter and more restrictive rules, and each agency partner, whether it's a charity or a faith-based organization, can articulate what the standards are at their particular location. But during this crisis, even most of them, if not all of them, have much more liberal policies about granting people access to the food. So it's really important that people know these facts, and we're doing everything we can to dispel those myths. The hunger picture across the county is, as you've seen in the news media, it is extensively impacting our children because the lack of access to school breakfast and school lunch, and many of these kids had access to after-school hot suppers, has disrupted their access to healthy, fresh nutrition. Families across the county are dealing with new levels of food insecurity that they have never dealt with before, either because of job layoffs or because of medical crisis within the family, or honestly, because many parents have to stay home with kids that no longer have access to a school campus. Seniors are a very serious challenge for the entire hunger relief community because they are often now quarantined and are unable to access congregate feeding sites. We are partnering with nonprofit organizations across the county to seek solutions. The County Office of Emergency Services, who has been doing an fantastic job at all aspects of this work, has included this in the portfolio of challenges that they're seeking to address in partnership with us and other nonprofits. But we have to be able to deliver food to seniors who are at home or other locations where they cannot access these adequate nutrition. We also have to be conscious of the fact that many seniors are no longer able to prepare their own meals. And so organizations like Meals on Wheels, like Special Delivery, like Jewish Family Service, and Stepping Higher, other nonprofits that are able to not just deliver grocery style food, but to deliver actual meals to seniors are truly playing a critical and important role in this. We also have seen most of our college pantry distributions closed because the college campuses are closed. Not all, but most. As well as our Feeding Heroes program, which feeds veterans and active duty military families across the county who are struggling with food insecurity. And of course, the homeless population. And we estimate about 10% of our normal food distribution serves the homeless, but that percentage has increased quite significantly during the current crisis, and maybe not by percentage, but certainly by volume. I want to pause at this point to let you know that joining us on this call is Feeding San Diego's Chief Operations Officer, Alicia Sacchi. And I'm going to invite Alicia to join in at any time if she would like to add any additional comments or points. I also want to ask folks who are participating in this webinar to submit questions. And we will get to the questions at the conclusion of the opening statement, but please use the question and answer function within Zoom. Please do not use the chat box. If you can please direct your questions to the question and answer utility within Zoom, I will be able to see them, and hopefully between Alicia and I, we can give you your answers. But if you use the chat box, unfortunately, we won't be able to see your question. Please also type your question. We don't have the utility set up with this many people on the call to have an oral question and answer. So if you'd be so kind as to please type your question, and I apologize to those of you who are participating only by phone, but if you can please type your question, we will get you an answer. If during the course of this conversation, your question does not get answered, or if you are on the phone and would like to submit your question, you can email us at info@feedingsandiego.org. That's info@feedingsandiego.org. So, and with that, I'm just going to continue with the slides, and then we'll go to questions. As I mentioned before, we have ongoing food distributions throughout the county attempting to meet the growing need, and we are acquiring more food into our distribution center than we've ever acquired before. Our food distributions are up by 40% quantitatively. We have also changed the methodology of food distribution to strongly encourage the use of drive-through lanes. This has the advantage of minimizing contact and risk of spreading the COVID-19 virus by keeping people safe in their cars, allowing the food to be placed in the trunk or passed through a window, and the car can drive away. The most important thing I can tell you about our food distribution network today is that it is evolving almost hour by hour. And I ask everyone in the community to please go to our website at feedingsandiego.org to get the latest schedule of food distributions in your community. There is no reliable source other than feedingsandiego.org for Feeding San Diego's distributions, and there is no reliable source for the entirety of the food distribution network in the county other than 211 San Diego. So if you want to maximize your understanding of opportunities to access food distributions, I strongly encourage you to call 211 or to visit 211sandiego.org. If you would like to see a clickable map of Feeding San Diego's food distributions, you'll find that on our website. But it's important when you identify a food distribution near your home, you click on the dot and call the phone number that's listed. Because as fast as we're working to keep our map updated, sometimes our community partners forget to tell us when a distribution has changed its date or time or location. So use the clickable map at feedingsandiego.org and then verify by use of the phone number any particular distribution that you are considering visiting. We are launching special initiatives to address and take advantage of new opportunities to address the crisis. Within the construct of youth meals, we have partnered with the San Diego Unified School District, and at half of the distribution points where they are accessing or providing prepared meals to the community in the form of a ready-to-eat lunch as well as a bag with a next day breakfast. Those families are also receiving produce and eventually shelf-stable product from Feeding San Diego. So as the car pulls through the San Diego Unified lot at multiple locations across the district, youth in the car are eligible to receive a meal, and the whole family can enjoy additional groceries, mainly fresh produce, provided by Feeding San Diego. And we are partnering with San Diego Unified to expand those distributions in the coming days. I will leave it to Gary Patel, Cindy Martin, and the wonderful team at San Diego Unified to announce that updated schedule. But we're very proud of that partnership. And we partner with San Diego Unified year-round. We rescue food from all 19 of their food preparation kitchens year-round. We operate 19 of our 40 school pantries on San Diego Unified campuses. So it's a very proud partnership that has a great impact on the community. We are doing similar work with the Cajon Valley Unified Union School District in El Cajon, where again, people are getting supplemental food from Feeding San Diego to accompany the meals that they are providing. We are also working with the Escondido Union School District to offer a drive-through distribution point in Escondido, where families that used to access our school pantries in that community will now be able to access food. Feeding San Diego also sponsors 2 critical federal nutrition programs along with other community partners. One is the Summer Food Service Program. And even though it's not summertime, we have been able to, under a waiver provided by the California Department of Education, reopen numerous Summer Food Service Program sites and are offering drive-through service so that if there are youth in the vehicle, they can get a complete catered meal. And we're trying to supplement that with other items to help the entirety of the family. There's a separate federal nutrition program for youth called the Child and Adult Food Care Program. That program is not operating currently, but federal legislation enacted just days ago is going to allow the California Department of Education to extend waivers to our CACFP site operators so they too can start providing drive-through distribution of catered meals. This is not in conjunction with any school district per se. This is Feeding San Diego directly providing catered meals to the drive-through locations that are passed through the car windows for the benefit of the youth. The best thing about these 2 programs is that no one has to qualify by filling out forms or registering. Once the site is up and running, anyone under the age of 19 is allowed to access these meals merely by showing up. We hope to meet each day's quantity, but as sites grow, we will increase the quantity to meet the increasing demand. But we're doing everything within our power to make sure that no one gets turned away. We also operate year-round an extensive Feeding East County program, which is offering twice-a-month distributions of food in the rural East County. And the danger of rural hunger is very real in San Diego County. We tend to think of San Diego as being beaches and the zoo. The reality is that we have many residents in the backcountry as far away as the desert community of Borrego Springs who are food insecure. Many of them are seniors, many of them are isolated. They lack access to consistent access to nutritious food. So if you know people or you through your organization serve these communities, if you live in one of these communities, please visit our website to understand when and where those distributions will be occurring. And again, it's no questions asked. If you identify as food insecure, bring bags, and you are welcome to come pick up food at the Feeding East County rural hunger relief sites. We have increased the amount of food flowing to many of these sites to match increasing demand. And so we appreciate the community's utilization of that resource. If in listening to all this, you are thinking, what can I do to help? Well, I've got a couple of ideas for you. Obviously, everything that we're doing requires funding. Feeding San Diego does not receive federal commodities from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and we do not receive federal funding to support our operations. We are very reliant on philanthropy to fund our good work. And if you are inspired to make a donation, please consider doing so through our website, feedingsandiego.org. Every dollar donated ends up generating at least 4 complete nutritious meals worth of food for individuals in need. If you are a corporate donor wishing to make a sizable gift, and I want to thank those corporations who have been doing exactly that in recent days, please consider contacting our headquarters so that we can work with you to facilitate that transaction. And obviously that applies to philanthropists, funders, nonprofit foundations, corporate foundations. If you would please call us, we would appreciate speaking to you about the gift that you intend to make. But obviously we need the funding, so we would appreciate that. And finally, there is an opportunity for you to host a fundraiser, even if you're just one person. And so if you visit our website and visit the COVID-19 response, you will be able to find information about how you can organize your own Feeding San Diego fundraiser and invite your friends, your family, your faith community, your neighbors through email, please, to participate in raising virtual funds for Feeding San Diego. We're also going to begin airing a public service announcement, which I would like to share with you at this time. It is very brief.
Feeding San Diego is working diligently to respond to the rapidly increasing need for food during the COVID-19 pandemic. Widespread school and business closures, wage loss, and limited access to food are impacting countless people throughout the community. Feeding San Diego has launched drive-through emergency food distributions across San Diego County to help meet the needs.
This is a community that looks after each other even while we distance ourselves in the name of health and safety.
Visit feedingsandiego.org/coronavirus to make a gift to the COVID-19 Response Fund.
So that public service announcement is going to begin airing immediately on Cox Cable, and we thank Cox for their generous donation of airtime to get that message out. We appreciate other opportunities to help get that PSA into the community. So I mentioned earlier that we had a serious drop-off in the availability of grocery stores' ability to donate food, and I mentioned that that's temporary. We expect that the food system is going to normalize. Nationally, the food production and distribution system is robust, it's healthy, it's functioning incredibly well, and we don't expect it to be disrupted. The shortages that we're seeing in grocery store shelves is entirely driven by consumer demand, and it is our expectation that that situation will rectify with time. In the meantime, many San Diego restaurants, hotels, catering firms, etc., find themselves with perishable food and other food that they want to donate immediately because it will otherwise go to waste. Dale Holland here at Feeding San Diego has been matching those food donors with local charities to whom that food can go in real time ever since the first day of this crisis. And Dale has done a fantastic job. So if you are a restaurateur, if you own a hotel, if you have access to large amounts of food, whether or not it's perishable, and you're considering donating that food to a charity, please do so. But if you need help finding an appropriate charity, please contact Dale Holland, and his email and telephone number is shown. Feeding San Diego is not attempting to bring all that donated product to our distribution center and then send it back outbound to the community. That just increased costs, it increased delay, and it causes food spoilage. We are doing everything within our power to operate a decentralized, robust food distribution, rescue and distribution system, and we want those donors to be matched with charities that are proximate to their geographic location and get that food to families in need as quickly as possible. If you want to help us get the word out, we have a social media toolkit on our COVID-19 page, and we appreciate all the influencers on social media that have been helping to get the word out about the efforts and what the community can do to help. Feeding San Diego is a large and robust organization. Last year's revenue was over $51 million. 83% of that was the value of donated food, which is booked as revenue as an in-kind donation to the organization. And we are going to rapidly expand our budget and have been in the past few weeks. My expectation is that we will be able to exceed $10 million in cash revenue on top of approximately another $40 to $45 million of well, probably closer to $50 million of donated food. So we're growing to meet this challenge. This is what our page looks like at feedingsandiego.org/coronavirus, and resources are there to help you find food if you're looking for immediate hunger relief, to make a gift, to donate food if you're a food donor, to start a fundraiser if you would like to pursue that, and of course to spread the word through the social media toolkit. Thank you very much for bearing with us, and I am going to move to the questions now. Again, if you wish to ask a question, please do so using the question and answer feature. Please do not use the chat feature. And before I take the first question, let me turn to Alicia Sacchi, our Chief Operations Officer, and ask Alicia, is there anything that you want to add to that which I have mentioned so far? And I may have accidentally muted Alicia. Yep, I did. Sorry, Alicia. Try that again, please.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. No, Vince, I don't have anything to add at this time, but I'm sure I can help with some of these questions as they come up.
Terrific. Thank you. First question is, how can a company best help Feeding San Diego at this time? Question mark, monetary donation. Yes, the number one need is funding. And I want to thank those companies that have called to offer volunteer shifts. It's heartwarming to see so many corporate families turn to us to say, how can we send volunteers to help? And I want to say that there is, through the County Office of Emergency Services, soon going to be announced a countywide volunteer resource which will help people volunteer close to home and in a safe way. We are limiting the volunteers here at Feeding San Diego's distribution center to more highly trained volunteers. And we thank, again, the County of San Diego's Office of Emergency Services for mobilizing CERT teams of volunteers, as well as the California Conservation Corps and other volunteer resources. We thank also the governor and the president for making the National Guard available as a volunteer pool of last resort. And the National Guard was mobilized to a Sacramento food bank a few days ago. They were in the Coachella Food Bank in Indio, California yesterday. And if the volunteer resources that the county has assembled for us should fall short, we also would look to the National Guard to help fulfill those vital mission roles. But the number one thing that corporations can do for us today is monetary donations. And the second would be to just help get the word out in the community about the various ways that the community can access resources through 211 San Diego and through Feeding San Diego's website. Another question was, will the webinar be available to share with our volunteers? And the answer is yes, this webinar is being recorded. Thank you for that question. Another question was, how can Feeding San Diego provide supplemental resources to nonprofits? And what I would say to that is that if you are currently a Feeding San Diego partner charity or faith-based organization, we would ask you just to use the normal channels to request additional food resources. We are procuring additional food as fast as we possibly can. Much of it is limited, obviously, by our fundraising, but we are using our reserves. We are taking a very aggressive approach to purchasing and sourcing additional food products. So I would ask that you please do your best to utilize those resources. In terms of adding additional charitable partners, we would like to do that as resources become available. And so you should, in fact, get in touch with us. If you visit feedingsandiego.org, there is a tab on our website which refers to agency partners. And there is a process there by which you can get started on becoming affiliated with Feeding San Diego. A question was, given that many organizations have closed to food distributions, do you have a map of organizational partners who are currently doing this during the outbreak? Yes, absolutely. There is a map on our website, feedingsandiego.org, under the coronavirus link, and you'll be able to click on that map. You can zoom into a particular neighborhood. The one caveat I ask is that you call a phone number that's listed. Click on any dot and a phone number will come up, and we ask that you please confirm the distribution details that are shown on our website, because some of our agency partners forget to tell us when they've changed those details. Question, can our employees drop off food to Feeding San Diego? Great question, thank you so much. The answer is yes, but. The but is, if you have a local charity that is close to your home, it is a good practice to do food donations directly to those local charities, because the chances are that Feeding San Diego is going to be moving those donations out to some of those very same charities. So if you can eliminate the middleman in this instance and directly donate your food donations to local charities, that's great. However, if you wish to donate at Feeding San Diego's distribution center, the address is on our website, and we welcome that. It is very, very generous. Thank you so much. If you are a commercial entity and you wish to donate, then please contact Dale at the phone number that I mentioned earlier. Are you recording this? Yes, we will post the recording of this. Can you provide a map? We've addressed that. Let's see. There's a question about, oh, somebody asked about accessing financial help, and there is a link on the resource section of our coronavirus page to where people can look to for financial assistance at this time. So please visit our coronavirus page and look to the resource tab. Question is, how can we address issues for children and families who cannot use the drive-through service? And that's a really great question. We've been addressing that question with respect to seniors, but not all people have cars. And at all of the drive-through locations that I am aware of at this time, walk-up service has been accommodated for families that cannot appear in a car. Using automobiles is meant to enhance the safety of both the food recipients as well as folks distributing food, but it should not be a barrier to accessing food for any family. Folks are asking about volunteering, which we have addressed. There will be, as I mentioned before, a countywide volunteer resource launched soon to direct people to charities that are in need and wish to get involved. There is a question here. Let's see. Okay, I'm sorry. That's another volunteer question. What items are you most in need of at this time? You know, again, it's funds, and I know that's not where the question was meant to go, but we are asking folks to make small food donations directly to local charities, and we are using the capacity of our vast distribution center to source large truckloads of produce and canned goods and box goods. So we don't really want to have you know, a lot of small quantities at the distribution center. If that is the most convenient donation location for you, then we're fine with that. We will go with that, but it is more desirable that the distribution center be reserved for the receipt of large shipments that need to be broken down into smaller, community-friendly and diverse pallets of products. So that's the main role that we're doing here. How can business join the food recovery program? Thank you so much for asking. I would ask that if you want to donate food, that you please do that through the contact that was on the earlier slide, which is Dale from our organization, or you can call our number and ask for Dale, and he can help your business to distribute food. Are there specific locations in North Park? Please check our map to see the latest distribution sites and locations. Is Feeding San Diego in need of chefs? If so, where can they volunteer and be utilized? That is an exceptionally good question. I know that there are organizations that are working to create prepared meals for those in need. And Regina, I don't have the answer to your question on the top of my head, but I would ask that you email us at info@feedingsandiego.org, and we may be able to connect you with some of our charitable partners that are actually preparing meals for those in need. New Vision Church, one of our community partners, wrote in, just wanted to thank you for your efforts and getting this information out, very helpful. Thank you very much for your incredible work in the community. We're very, very inspired by our charitable and faith-based partner organizations who are working just as hard as we are, if not harder, to serve the needs of the community. We had a question about whether it is our objective to distribute only wholesome food. Is the objective to distribute only wholesome foods, or are there cereals and sweets, etc.? Feeding San Diego has long had a policy that we do not distribute soda or candy. We do distribute other food products that unfortunately have sugar and carbs, and it is a difficult question as to where you draw the line between giving people access to food and where you deny that access because you don't have sufficient availability of the healthiest foods. And that's where we have struck the balance, is to not send out items which are by strict definition candy or soda pop, but other foods are going out to the community. And I can only say that we have led the Feeding America network in terms of the percentage of food coming through our distribution center that is wholesome, fresh fruits and vegetables. It has exceeded 75% by pound of everything that comes through our distribution center. In view of the current crisis, we are not going to be able to maintain that level because we have a lot of important goals to achieve, and we're going to be relying on more canned and boxed products. But even there, we're doing our level best to make sure that we are adding products which are healthy and nutritious, like canned vegetables. There was a request to show Dale's information. Again, Dale's information is provided for large donors who wish to donate perishable products and other foods that they have on hand, and we can match you with a local charity if you're just not sure. If you have a charity in mind and you want to donate to them directly, please, that's our first priority. Let's just get the food directly to local charities that can get it to families in need as quickly as possible. But if you would like our assistance finding a local charity to receive that food, then please contact Dale at the number shown. Another question was, Ocean Discovery Institute said, would like to send a huge shout out to your team and helping us feed our families during this time. Farah has been amazing. Thank you so much, Ocean Discovery Institute. You are one of our sites that is reopened to provide prepared meals to youth in the City Heights community. You're doing incredible and amazing work. And I agree with you, Farah from our staff is amazing. Thank you so much for those kind words. It's been reported that many school lunch programs have remained open during school closures. Can you confirm on that and comment? The County Office of Education has a resource that shows all the districts across the county that are offering any kind of meal service in lieu of the school meals and school breakfasts that they were providing. So I would encourage anyone, anywhere in the county, we have 42 school districts in San Diego County, to look to the County Office of Education website, and they are updating that to maintain a comprehensive distribution. The districts that we are partnering with, San Diego Unified, Cajon Valley, and Escondido Union, those sites are referenced both on the County Office of Education and on Feeding San Diego's website. Another question, is there a need for more fresh produce to distribute, or is the current supply sufficient? with the distribution model in place right now? The answer is that there is at this moment, there is a need for more of both. We need more fresh produce. We need more canned and boxed product. And so we are absolutely embarking on an effort to purchase more and to get more donated. I want to salute our partners at Feeding America and at the California Association of Food Banks. The California Association of Food Banks operates a farm-to-family program, which allows us to access fresh fruits and vegetables from 225 farms and packing sheds up and down the state of California. That product is made available to us typically because the farmer does not have a buyer for the product, or the packing sheds have sorted out the odd-sized, odd-shaped, and odd-colored produce. In both cases, we have expensive transportation costs to bring that product to San Diego, and in some cases, we have to pay the cost of the labor to bring the crop off the field. So, and the cost of packaging the product, to put it in boxes, to get it here. So it's expensive, but again, Feeding San Diego's mission isn't just to feed people, it's to nourish people. And so we want to maintain that supply line of fresh fruits and vegetables and increase it. And we have increased it. We've increased fresh produce by 25% in just the last week. But we're also seeking to increase dramatically our supply of canned and boxed food because of the difficulty that we're having with grocery store rescue. No fault of the grocery stores. We have incredible, dedicated, hardworking partners at the grocery stores. The shortage is being generated solely by consumer demand. People are just buying everything at the grocery store. Another question was, has there been talks in ways that Feeding San Diego and the local Native American reservations could increase food availability in their areas? The answer is yes. We have partnered with multiple tribes within San Diego County in the past. We'll continue to seek those partnerships in the future. We currently operate mobile pantry distributions at or near non-gaming tribes within San Diego County, and we have received generous financial support from gaming tribes. So it's really an important part of our equation, and our extensive Feeding East County program that I talked about earlier is helping us to do that. A question was, can you provide a list of faith-based organizations distributing food? And the answer is yes, we could provide that if you email us at info@feedingsandiego.org. But they are also on our website. So if you look at our distribution map, you'll find all of our faith-based as well as charitable partners listed. When are you going to open new food distribution locations and where we can find them? I appreciate the urgency of that question. We're going to open new food distribution locations as soon as we can. We want to make sure that our existing distribution network has the capacity to fulfill the existing demand. We don't want to open new locations at a time when more families are showing up at our existing distribution sites. So our primary focus is on increasing the amount of food that's going through our current distribution sites while we are actively looking for new distribution partners. And frankly, from an equity lens, it's important that we serve the entire county. And that is one of the things that has driven us to build a county-wide distribution system. We are as strong in the Highway 78 corridor of North County as we are in the South Bay, East County, the rural East County, as well as the urban East County, and of course, the urban core. So Feeding San Diego's distributions are available throughout the entirety of San Diego County. Can already established distribution pantry sites petition to distribute more food? Example, if a site is twice a month, can they seek to increase frequency? Yes, our existing distribution sites are welcome to contact us through their normal staff liaison to explore the possibility of increasing not just the amount of food they're distributing, but the frequency of those distributions. And again, it will depend on funding and our ability to buy the food that is going to end up accommodating that enhanced distribution schedule. But don't assume at the outset that we're not going to be able to do that. Be in touch with us so that we understand the opportunities to expand. Are you working with regional farmers whose access to farmers markets has been limited? Thank you. Wonderful question. The answer is yes. Feeding San Diego is a proud member of the San Diego County Farm Bureau. We already have an established pattern of rescuing surplus fruits and vegetables from local farmers. I don't know how many people know this, but San Diego County has more organic farms than any county in the entire United States of America. And the local farms that we partner with have been incredibly generous donors to Feeding San Diego. And it is a very high quality product that comes to us at a minimal transportation cost because we're not shipping it from the Salinas Valley, the San Joaquin Valley, the Sacramento Valley. So it is a key priority for us. I also, would acknowledge that we get food from the land and seaports in the county. So the Dole facility by the convention center, these large yellow ships coming in from El Salvador and other countries with fresh bananas and plantains, we get access to a tremendous amount of produce from that facility. And we thank Dole for their generosity. There are brokerage houses on Otay Mesa that import vast amounts of Mexican grown fresh produce that's sold into the US market. And those brokers call us on an almost daily basis with surplus product that is still delicious and nutritious, but nearing the end of its lifespan. It's too close to the end to ship it out to market, but they can get it to Feeding San Diego and we can get it out to families in need almost immediately. And we thank those brokers in Otay Mesa who are key partners for our locally sourced produce. So thank you for the question, whether it is Mexican grown produce that's being imported through the Port of San Diego, produce that's being grown by San Diego County's farms. We have a key partnership with the Imperial Valley Food Bank, and much of the vegetable crop in Imperial Valley that is surplus is managed through the California Association of Food Banks, but we're able to source a significant percentage of that. And then, as I mentioned before, 225 farms and packing sheds. I mean, we right now in our warehouse have Washington State apples, we have Idaho potatoes, we have Oregon potatoes, onions. So we're bringing fresh fruits and vegetables in as rapidly as we can to try to serve both needs, nourishing people, feeding people. The two go in tandem, but fresh produce is a key part of that solution. So that's the last question that we have, and we are wrapping up. I'm just going to do a quick scan to see if there was something else that anybody wanted me to share with you. And I see that all the questions have been answered. I want to just end by again thanking the whole community who have come together in this way. 13 years ago, Feeding San Diego was born out of the crisis of the wildfires that swept through this county and destroyed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homes. And we were able to distribute over 500,000 pounds of food in just 3 days, helping first responders, dislocated families. And it worked so well, and the generosity of the community was so evident that the organization was able in the years since to grow and expand. And with the help of our generous donors, with the help of our faith-based and charitable partners throughout the county, with the help of school districts and countless volunteers, the organization has grown to where we are now providing over 27 million meals per year to families in need across the county. And that's before this current crisis. So that number is going to accelerate rapidly. We just couldn't do it without all of you. And we're deeply, deeply appreciative. We get very little government funding. It's less than 5% of our budget. We are very reliant on the generosity of our donors to be able to achieve what we achieve. We have a very different approach to solving hunger because our primary focus is on rescuing food that would otherwise go to waste. This has the benefit of solving the immediate problem of hunger, but a secondary benefit of avoiding having large amounts of food go into our landfills, where it becomes a very significant generator of greenhouse gases, not just CO2, but also methane. So we are working to achieve this mission. And now, given the current crisis across our county, we're working to accelerate the pace at which we're fulfilling that mission. And I just want to thank all of you for being a part of this webinar today. Thank you for your wonderful questions. If you were on the phone and didn't get to ask your question, or if in the hours and days that follow you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to Feeding San Diego through our website, feedingsandiego.org, by email at info@feedingsandiego.org, or call us at 858-452-3663. Thanks everybody for attending. We really appreciate your participation here today.